My dad told me I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving this year, just to keep my sister Janice calm, even after I spent $6,000 covering their heating bills. So I cut the heat off before the holiday and let them freeze instead. "You're not invited to Thanksgiving," my dad said like it was nothing. "Then say goodbye to my $6,000, I answered, already cutting their heat. I was slumped on my busted couch, thumbing through a dog-eared car magazine when his call sliced through late October's hush. My little space hummed faintly, the cheap space heater buzzing like a trapped fly. I tapped speaker, bracing for his usual grumble. Maybe the garage door refused to close again, or Mom's latest baking fiasco had clogged a pipe. Instead, his words hit like a brick through a window. "Barbara, you're not coming to Thanksgiving this year," he said, flat as a calendar reminder. "It's for the best. Keeps your sister calm." The magazine slid from my hands, pages fanning across the stained cushions while a sentence sank, slow and sour. "What?" I rasped, my voice dragging like rusted hinges. "He released that long, used-up sigh he deploys to dodge conflict. Janice is on edge. You know how she gets. We don't want stress. It'll be easier if you sit this one out." I swung my feet to the floor. My boots thumped the scuffed boards, and I stared at the coffee table, its chipped lip catching the shiver of a thrift store lamp. "Sit this one out," I echoed, the words settling in my chest like soot. "I'm being cut from Thanksgiving because Janice is overwhelmed?" His tone didn't waver, cold, decided. "Don't make a scene, Barbara. It's just a day. You'll be fine." Heat rose up my spine. My fingers closed around the table's rough edge. "One day," I repeated, my voice honing itself to a blade. "And the $6,000 I've been burning to keep your house warm all year? That means nothing too, huh?" The line went quiet, a little static fizzling, before he muttered, "Let's not drag that into it. You offered." I barked out a laugh, sharp, ugly, cutting right through the peeling paint. "Offered?" I stood. The floor complained under my heels. "I've been covering your heat for 2 years, $6,000 just this year, because you and Mom couldn't afford it after Janice torched your savings. But sure, I begged to do it." He grunted, irritation threading his words. "We appreciate it, Barbara, but this isn't about money. It's family. Janice needs this. She's fragile." I walked to the window. Tiny snowflakes began to kiss the glass, ghosts in the wash of streetlights bleeding through the dusk. "Fragile," I repeated, letting the syllables frost over. "Janice needs this. Janice always needs. And I'm the one footing the cost. Not now. Enjoy your peaceful dinner, Dad." I jabbed end, tossed my phone onto the couch, its dark screen as flat as the breath fogging in the dim. Janice. Always the golden one. Prom queen. Mom's darling at the bakery counter. Dad's little spark. 2 years ago, her big dream crumpled. She burned through $20,000 on some online boutique she promised would change our fortune. It didn't. The site withered in weeks, boxes of useless stock mildewed in a damp unit. Mom sobbed into her tea. Dad shrugged and said, "She'll bounce back." I didn't argue. I just stepped in, took over their heating. Winters here bite hard, and they would have frozen without help. $500 a month, $6,000 a year, siphoned from my warehouse pay, while Janice posted rooftop cocktails and designer coats she didn't earn. I let it go because family was family. Until now. Until Dad froze me out of Thanksgiving, the one day we all showed up. I grabbed my laptop off a cluttered shelf, sank into the couch as its frame groaned, and signed into the utility account. My name was on the account. I called the oil folks, arranged deliveries, made the payments, because Dad can't navigate a login, and Mom always smiled and said, "You're so good at this, Barbara." There it was, $6,000 gone this year. Every dollar chipped from extra hours, aching joints, pre-dawn shifts in the warehouse's teeth-rattling chill. I hit cancel service, steady as the thickening snowfall, promising the ice to come. They'd scramble to call and patch it, eventually, but not before the house turned into a freezer. A banner popped up, service discontinued effective November 1st, 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. I snapped the laptop shut, a grim smile tugging at my mouth. Let's see how fragile Janice is when the heat disappears. The next weeks crawled, snow stacked outside my building, the air sliced through paper-thin walls. I kept moving, warehouse runs, hand trucks rattling over concrete, my gloves stiff with frozen air as the wind howled through gaps. No calls yet, just the thud-thud of my own routine. One evening I hit the diner with Brian, my high school ride-or-die turned mechanic. The place hummed with clinks and chatter. He slid in across from me with a basket of fries steaming between us, grin wide as he grabbed a fistful. "You're quiet," he said, swiping ketchup. "What's up?" I tipped a beer back, cold bottle slick in my hand, and spelled it out. Dad's call. Janice's drama. My sudden exile. "They uninvited me from Thanksgiving," I said, leaning back as the vinyl wheezed. "After I covered their heat, $6,000 this year. 2 years straight." His eyes flared. Ketchup blobbed onto the table as he paused mid-bite. "You're kidding. And they figured you'd keep paying?" I nodded, snagging a fry. "Yep. Not anymore." I turned it off. "They'll feel it." He barked a laugh, loud enough to earn the waitress's glare. "That's ice cold, Barbara. Literally." I clinked my bottle to his, glass bright in the diner's warm hum. They chose Janice. I chose me. The cozy air wrapped around me, a blunt contrast to the storm rolling toward their doorstep. November 1st hit, the cutoff day. I picture their furnace's last sigh, the pipes groaning as the cold burrowed in. Thanksgiving was weeks away, but snow came early, thick and relentless, smothering everything in white hush. I kept going, work, then the hardware store for a shovel and a bag of salt. The cashier nodded at the frost-blurred street. "Big one coming," he said, dropping my haul in a bag. I smirked, imagining their thermostat tumbling, frost edging every corner. That night I swung by the corner store, grabbed soup cans and a fresh loaf. The cashier chatted while she scanned. "This storm's going to sting," she warned, waving toward the swirling night. I grinned inwardly, seeing their silent furnace, the boards icing underfoot, winter sneaking through each crack. The first ping came midweek while I swept the floor, dust motes spinning in weak light. Mom texted, "Barbara, the heat's out. Did you pay? It's getting chilly." I let it sit, dumping the dustpan. My heartbeat stayed steady. An hour later, Dad's call thudded into voicemail. "Furnace is down. Handle it, Barbara." I didn't. Janice's text arrived last, sharp and bossy. "Fix this. It's freezing. Do something." I set the broom aside, my apartment's quiet warmth defying their panic. Days passed, the storm built, their messages trickled, then poured. By mid-November, Mom's texts were frantic. "Barbara, it's 55 degrees. Call the oil company." Dad's calls piled. 5, then 8, his voicemail snapping. "Pay it, Barbara. This isn't a joke." Janice's messages seethed. "You're cruel. I'm freezing." At work, I shifted a pallet of cans, the warehouse air biting through my coat, and played Mom's latest voicemail. "Barbara, the temperature's dropping fast. We're bundled in sweaters. What's going on?" I stacked crates smirking. The cold fit them. Finally. Thanksgiving was a week away. The forecast promised a brutal front. Perfect timing. The weekend before. I stood in my tiny kitchen slicing onions for stew, steam fogging the window while broth murmured. My phone rattled nonstop. 10 missed calls from Mom, 7 from Dad, a flood of texts lighting the screen. "Mom. Barbara, it's 45 degrees. We're freezing. Please. Dad. Turn the heat back on now." "Janice, you're ruining everything. It's freezing." I stirred the pot, spices thick in the air, imagining their house, Mom worrying over lumpy mash, Dad dragging a blade across his old sharpener, Janice sulking in an overpriced coat. All of them swaddled against creeping cold. 45 degrees. Not deadly yet. The real bite was coming. I filled a bowl, let its heat soak my fingers, and sat at my little table, letting their pleas stack up while I ate in peace. Thanksgiving morning, a blizzard screamed at my windows, the street disappearing into a white blur. I stayed in jeans and a heavy flannel, brewed coffee curling rich warmth through the room. Plans were simple: a roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, a can of green beans. No turkey. Nothing of them. My phone was a battlefield. 15 missed calls from Mom, 12 from Dad, messages piling like drifts. Mom: Barbara, it's 40 degrees. We're in coats. Please. Dad: fix it now. It's getting dangerous. Janice: you're heartless. I'm sick because of you. I poured coffee, inhaling the depth as the wind screamed through the city. I picture their dining room, worn oak table, scarred with years, Mom still fussing over mash, Dad sawing at overcooked turkey, Janice pouting while the cold tightened its grip. 40 degrees. Manageable, for now. By noon the storm ramped up, rattling my windows, swallowing the neighborhood. The missed calls shot past 20. Mom's latest voicemail trembled. Barbara, it's 35 degrees. Janice is crying. We're shaking under blankets. Please. I preheated the oven, warmth spilling across the room, slid the chicken in, and plated sides that steamed like a quiet victory over the chaos in my inbox. A new message from Dad arrived, soaked in anger. Ridiculous. Fix it now. Janice, I hate you. This is unbearable. I ate slowly. Tender meat, creamy potatoes, the hush of my heated apartment at odds with the merciless storm. Around 3, Mom pinged one more message, a final, shaking plea. It's 32 degrees. Our fingers are numb. Barbara, please. I turned on a true crime podcast, the steady drone of betrayal filling the silence while their voices faded into background noise. I reclined, satisfied in my warm harbor. At 6, the doorbell cut through the wind. Through the peephole, I saw Dad hunched in his thick coat, snow crusting his hood, his skin raw from the cold under the porch light's weak halo. I cracked the door and leaned on the frame. Heat spilled out to meet the storm. He scowled, breath pluming. Barbara, he snapped, voice chapped by the cold. The heat's been off for weeks. This is you, isn't it? The house is a freezer. I folded my arms, met his glare. You said I wasn't welcome at Thanksgiving. Said keeping Janice comfy mattered most. I assumed that meant you didn't need me at all. His expression lurched from shock to anger. His voice rose over the wind. It was one day. Janice is struggling. Your mother's falling apart. I stepped closer, cutting him off, calm, steel-edged. One day. I poured $6,000 into your warmth this year, 2 years in a row, while Janice played princess. You made your choice. Now you're cold. Pick up a phone and pay for it yourselves. He flailed, shaking snow from his sleeves, desperation leaking through. We can't, Barbara. We're broke. It's 30 degrees inside. I didn't blink. Not my problem. Happy Thanksgiving. I shut the door. The lock clicked, and his shouts dissolved into the blizzard as his truck growled and vanished in white. Inside, my phone lit up like a flare. Mom, we're freezing. Please. Janice, you're cruel. I'm suffering. Dad, this isn't over. Call me. I silenced it and let the podcast run, warmth from dinner softening my edges. Friday brought lighter snow, heavier panic. Around noon, my cousin Olivia called while I chipped ice from the walkway, her voice bright with gossip. They're unraveling, she laughed. Janice is moaning about frostbite, your mom is wrapped like a burrito, and your dad's begging neighbors for a heater. What did you do? Stopped paying their heat, I said, flicking snow aside. Covered it for years. 6,000 this time. They shoved me out for Janice, so I closed the wallet. Olivia snorted. That's savage. Janice is ranting online. Your mom's crying to Aunt Anna. Your dad's furious. I leaned on the shovel, smirking. Let them handle it. She kept going, how they slept layered like onions. Dinner got cold and untouched. The house dipped to 28 degrees overnight. They're miserable, she said. Barbara, you're a legend. December settled in, soft and white. My life didn't blink. Work, coffee, quiet evenings, the steady purr of my heater like a private anthem. A week later, Olivia called while I stirred chili, the kitchen glowing with warmth. They're still flailing, she said, barely choking back a laugh. Janice ran to some friend's place. Your mom's lost under blankets. Your dad's pleading with the oil company. I tasted the chili and smirked. They figure it out yet? A snort. Hardly. They scraped together enough for a tiny top-up. Your mom's guilt-tripping everyone. Your dad's sulking. Janice is playing the victim. No one's buying it. I let the spice bloom on my tongue. Let them clean up their own mess. Olivia chuckled. You're ruthless. Good thing I'm not on your wrong side. We hung up. I ate in peace. The storm became a soft whisper against the glass. Back on the loading dock, cold knives slipped through my jacket as I wrestled crates. My phone buzzed. Mom's voicemail, her voice small. Barbara, we're barely getting by. Can we fix this? I slid a crate into place. Figure it out, I said to no one and deleted it. Days later, while I sipped tea, the doorbell went again. Dad stood there dusted in snow, jaw tight. I cracked the door. Heat curled out. Barbara, he said quietly. It's been weeks. The house is unbearable. Your mother's sick. Janice left. I didn't look away. You cut me out to keep Janice smiling. What's left to say? He shifted, grinding his teeth. We didn't think it'd get this bad. Your mom's struggling. Janice disappeared. I stopped him. You didn't think. I covered 6,000 this year. 2 years running, while you catered to Janice. You chose. Now you're freezing. Pay your own bills. He flinched, fist bunching. We can't. We're tapped out. It's 35 degrees inside. I took a slow sip, steam soft in the air. Your choices. Your consequences. I'm done. I closed the door. The lock clicked. His muffled protest dwindled as he stomped toward his truck. Snow rose in neat white walls. Weeks drifted by. My days stayed even. Olivia's last winter update came over beers at the diner, cold fries ignored between us as she grinned. They're barely afloat. Tiny oil deliveries, nonstop fights. Janice is holed up with some guy. Your mom's begging every relative. Your dad's selling junk to keep the tank from dry heaving. You absolutely wrecked them, Barbara. I took a sip and smiled. They wrecked themselves. I just stopped saving them. She lifted her bottle. To freedom. We clinked, the warmth settling in while they shivered. January came, sharp and endless. One night I sat with coffee, city lights flickering beyond the frosted pane, snow glittering below. The bell rang. Mom stood wrapped tight in her coat, eyes hollow, scarf dusted white. I leaned on the frame, silent. Barbara, she said, voice thin. We messed up. It's been awful, the cold, the fighting. We never saw how much you did. I let the steam curl from my mug. You never notice, I said. 2 years. $6,000 this year alone. Until I stopped. You picked Janice again. I'm done mopping up. She stepped closer, desperation bright. We're sorry. Janice is sorry. Can we fix this? I shook my head. Not now. I'm warm. You find a way. I shut the door, her voice muffled behind wood, and settled back on the couch. Coffee hot. Silence mine. February dragged, snow heavy, their problems hanging like stale air. Olivia called while I painted, the sharp scent cutting the room. They're wrecked, she reported, amused. Janice got dumped. Your mom's holed up in a cheap motel. Your dad's selling everything. You really broke them. I wiped paint from my fingers and eyed the fresh white wall. They made their bed, I said. I just stopped heating it. Olivia laughed, quick and wicked. They're still begging, but nobody cares. I watched the paint dry, their ruin a dull hum far away. March edged in, the snow loosening its grip, but their desperation clung like damp rot. One morning I split logs from my fire pit, the axe cracking wood crisp and clean. My phone buzzed, Olivia again, delight in her voice. They're done. Janice is couch surfing, your mom's chasing loans, your dad's almost out of stuff to sell. You completely shattered them. I drove the axe down. The logs split neat. They built that nest, I said, stacking the pieces. I just stopped warming it. Olivia cackled. I lit the fire and watched the flames rise against the last of the cold. Let them freeze. I'd stay free.